When you think about a US-Iran conflict, what comes to mind? Probably jets, right? Huge aircraft carriers, massive explosions. But what if I told you the real conflict, the one that actually has America worried, isn't about any of that? It's being fought with something way, way smaller.
So let's just jump right in with a question that sounds, well, it sounds totally nuts. Can a $50,000 drone bankrupt a superpower? I mean, really? A piece of tech that costs less than a Tesla taking down the most powerful nation on Earth? It feels like something out of a movie. But here's the thing. This isn't a fist fight. It's a math problem. And right now, America is losing at the math.
Yeah, this whole thing really boils down to a war of economics, a math war. It's not about who has the biggest, baddest weapons. It's all about who gets the most bang for their buck. And let me tell you, Iran has built its entire strategy around one simple and kind of brutal economic fact. Okay, just look at this. It's wild. On one side, you've got Iran's weapon of choice, the Shahed drone. It costs maybe 50 grand to make. On the other side, you have America's main defense against it, a single THAAD interceptor missile. The price tag on that? A cool $2 million. That is literally like using a diamond-encrusted sledgehammer to swat a fly. It's insane.
So you do the math. That's a 40-to-1 cost difference. 40-to-1. For every single dollar Iran spends putting a drone in the air, America has to spend at least $40 just to try and shoot it down. And that's if they get it on the first shot. A lot of the time, they have to fire 2, maybe 3 missiles to be sure. The ratio just gets crazier and crazier. So you have to ask, who runs out of money first?
And this is how Iran weaponizes math. It's brilliant in a terrifying way. They've basically built a swarm of cheap, disposable, but still really destructive drones. We're talking an arsenal of around 80,000 of these things, and they can crank out 500 more every single day. Plus, they're tiny. You can launch one from the back of a pickup truck, so good luck trying to find and stop them before they're already flying towards their target.
Okay, so this raises a huge question, right? Why is America, of all places, the home of Silicon Valley, the land of innovation, stuck in this crazy expensive trap? I mean, why can't they just build their own cheap defenses? Well, the answer, it's a mix of history and some pretty messed up incentives. It's like they've built a golden cage for themselves.
You have to go back in time, to the Cold War. The entire philosophy of the US military was shaped back then. And here's the secret. It was never really about fighting a war with the Soviets. I mean, with nuclear weapons on the table, that was a non-starter. Instead, it was all about flexing. It was about building the biggest, the shiniest, the most intimidating weapons possible, just to look scary. The goal wasn't to be efficient or cheap, it was to be jaw-dropping. And that mindset, it just never went away.
And that old-school way of thinking gets supercharged by a very modern problem: money. Look, when a single missile costs $2 million, a lot of people are getting a nice piece of that pie. We're talking contractors, politicians, lobbyists, the whole system. Now, imagine someone comes along with a perfectly good solution that only costs, say, $10,000. All those profits? Poof, gone. So there's this powerful built-in reason to keep everything as expensive as possible. It's a cycle that's incredibly hard to break.
But here's where the story takes a turn. Because the drones, the missiles, they're just the tools. They're not the real weapon. The real target, the thing that turns this from just a military problem into a full-blown existential crisis, is something you and I take for granted every single day. It's not an army base. It's not even a city. It's water.
So to really get this, we need to talk about something called water stress. It's actually a pretty simple idea. It's just a measure of how much water a country uses compared to how much it gets naturally from things like rain. If your score is over 100%, you're in the red zone. You're officially using more water than nature is giving you.
Okay, so take a country like Canada. Very low water stress, no problem. Now let's look at the Middle East. Egypt? Their score is over 6,000%. And Dubai, get ready for this, is at a mind-blowing 17,000%. Let that sink in. For every 1 cup of water nature provides, they use 170 cups. How on earth is that even possible? The answer is technology. They survive because of these massive, and this is the key word, vulnerable machines called desalination plants. They line the coasts and they work around the clock 24/7, turning salty ocean water into fresh water. And these things aren't just for luxury pools. They are the literal lifeblood of these countries. You turn them off, and there's no drinking water, no farming, no life, period.
And now you see the real weapon. That little $50,000 drone, it doesn't need to sink an aircraft carrier. It just has to hit one of these plants.
You take out the water supply, and you've basically paralyzed an entire nation without ever having to fire a shot at a single soldier. That, right there, is the water bomb, and it's Iran's ultimate trump card.
But hold on, because this isn't a one-sided story. Not at all. While Iran is holding this incredibly powerful card, its own house is, well, it's a bit of a glass house. The exact same vulnerabilities it's trying to exploit in its neighbors, they exist right inside its own borders.
First up, water. Yep, Iran itself has a serious water stress problem. For instance, Lake Ormia, which used to be the sixth largest saltwater lake on the planet, has pretty much just vanished. And second, Iran isn't one solid block. It's more like a mosaic of different ethnic groups, especially on its borders. You've got Kurds, Arabs, Turks, and a lot of these groups have major beef with the government in Tehran. That makes them a potential weak spot for outside influence.
And you can bet America and Israel have noticed. There are reports of a plan to exploit these exact cracks. The playbook is pretty simple and pretty brutal. Step 1, make their water problems worse. Step 2, stir up those internal ethnic tensions. The ultimate goal, break the country apart from the inside. Turn Iran into a bunch of smaller, feuding states that are way too busy fighting each other to ever be a threat to anyone else.
So, okay, we've got two sides, each with a game plan to hit the other where it hurts. But Iran's strategy, it has one final layer, and this one is the most audacious of them all. The ultimate target isn't a water plant, it's not an ethnic group, it's a wallet. Specifically, America's wallet. Iran's grand vision has a name, Pax Islamica. Think of it like an Islamic peace, kind of modeled on the old Roman Empire, but with Tehran running the show. The first step is to unite Shia Muslim communities all over the world against U.S. influence. Then, they want to help local populations overthrow the U.S.-backed dictators you see in a lot of Sunni countries. The endgame? To make Iran the leader of a new, united, anti-American Muslim world.
But to pull that off, they have to hit America where it really, truly hurts. And that's why the actual bullseye in this whole economic war is the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council. You know, that club of super wealthy Gulf nations like Saudi Arabia and the UAE. They are the absolute key to the whole thing. Okay, so check out how this financial loop works. It's pretty wild. The GCC sells its oil to everyone, but they only take one currency, US dollars. This keeps the dollar super strong. Then, what do they do with all those billions of petrodollars? They pour them right back into the U.S. stock market, basically funding the growth of America's biggest companies. This river of cash is one of the absolute pillars of the American economy.
And that is Iran's endgame. See, they don't need to launch a missile at New York. They just have to break this financial chain. If they can use their cheap drones to create chaos and destabilize the GCC, oil sales get disrupted. And if that happens, the river of dollars flowing into the U.S. stock market dries up. The market crashes, and the entire American economy could collapse.
So this isn't just some local argument. It's a global chessboard, and it's forcing everyone to pick a side. Europe needs that GCC energy, so they're pretty much forced to side with America. Russia sees that divide and destroy strategy and gets nervous, thinking, hey, we could be next, so they have to back Iran. And China? Well, China is playing the long game. They're staying neutral, just waiting to see who wins so they can do business with them. So let's just lay it all out, side by side. You've got two huge competing strategies. America's plan, break Iran's unity from the inside. The weapons, water scarcity and ethnic conflict. The goal, divide and destroy. Then you've got Iran's plan, break America's piggy bank from the outside. The weapons, economic warfare with cheap drones. The goal, crash and collapse.
And that brings us right back to where we started. In a war that's being fought with math and money, not with soldiers and tanks, whose plan is going to work first? This isn't some Hollywood script, you guys. This is a real-world chess match playing out in real time. And the ending? Well, it hasn't been written yet. But one thing is for sure. Whatever happens, the outcome is going to affect every single one of us.